Hi all, we are going to quickly go over chapter 1 for those who missed today. So chapter 1 is all about research, being both a producer and a consumer of research. So this chapter is about understanding the differences between the two. Research producers. We're going to review why the producer role is important, why the consumer role is important, and the benefits of being a good consumer. Producer role is important for coursework in psychology, for graduate work, for working in a research lab. Being a producer of research simply means that you are the one, or you are part of a team conducting the research. You have either a theory you're working from or a hypothesis, and you have designed an experiment to study it. We are consumers of research. All of us are consumers of research. Every time we turn on the TV and we watch a commercial, we have some sort of research generally being thrown at us because they're trying to sell us their product. In psychology, we read a lot of psychological research studies. We will read a lot of psychological research studies in this class. Psychological research studies are published in scholarly journals. They are not published on blogs or Wikipedia, etc. So we will be reading and disseminating a lot of those. News stories are often based on research. They also often get the research very, very wrong. Evidence-based treatment is a therapy supported by research. For example, there is evidence based on scientific research that aerobic exercise can be an effective treatment for mild to moderate depression, or that sleep, when you get enough sleep, that it also helps not only regulate your mood and serotonin levels and hunger levels, but that it also can help you lose weight. So those will go together. Benefits of being a good consumer. What do you gain by being a critical consumer of information? We should all be critical consumers of information, so we do not just take what we hear at face value. We want to find out the full story. We want to know more. Scientists are empiricists. They test theories with their theory data cycle. We will go over that in more detail. They work in a community. They tackle applied and basic problems. They make their work public, and they talk to the world from journal to journalism. Again, we have to make certain those reporting the journalism are reporting the right thing. All right, so first, scientists are empiricists. Empiricism, empirical method, or empirical research. Empiricism is simply knowing something by our senses. So there are a variety of ways of knowing about the world based on intuition, experience, and authority. However, psychological scientists base their belief about psychology on empirical research. So they base their conclusions on evidence from the senses or from instruments that can help the senses. So I'm seeing this in front of me. Let's figure out why. All right, the theory data cycle. In your book, it talks about the covered theory versus the contact comfort theory. And basically, the covered theory, one scientist said, I think that monkeys only go to their mom because they feed them, and then another scientist came in and said, no way, it's because they offer comfort. And so the second scientist, Harlow, designed an experiment where he designed one monkey mom right there made out of just wire or metal, and it fed them baby monkeys, and then he designed a second baby monkey that was made out of cloth and soft material, and they watched these monkeys to see which one they gravitated to more. Time after time, the baby monkeys gravitated and stayed with the soft, cuddly monkey and went over to the wire monkey only when they needed to eat. So theories. Theories are falsifiable, meaning the best theories are those that are improved upon. We are constantly improving on our theories. So there might be some aspect of a theory that we think to be right, but to say that a theory is falsifiable means that when we are testing something, we're not trying to prove a thing. We are making a set of statements. This is my theory, why I think this happens. This is what the research shows. And then other researchers come behind and either confirm or disprove. It's not a bad thing for a theory to be falsifiable. All right, scientists test theories, the theory data cycle. Theory is a set of statements that describe general principles about how variables relate to one another. A hypothesis, it's predictions about the outcomes of your research based on theory. Data, set of observations. Do the data support the hypotheses? Do they strengthen the theory, or do they not support the hypotheses, and thus lead to either a revised theory or an improved research design? Most studies, the best hypotheses are pre-registered, which means it's a term referring to a study in which, before collecting any data, the researcher has publicly stated what the study's outcome. Okay, studies do not prove theories, and good theories are falsifiable. We will talk quickly about replication. Replication is describing a study whose results can be reproduced. When the study is repeated or replicated, means it is reproducible. We will talk more about that in chapter 14. We look at the weight of the evidence. Weight of the evidence is a conclusion drawn from reviewing scientific literature and considering the proportion of studies that is consistent with that theory. Falsifiability. A theory must lead to hypotheses that, when tested, could actually fail to support the theory. Do not claim to prove anything, and do not use the word prove when referring to theories. We instead opt for phrases such as the data support or are consistent with a theory, or they do not support or are inconsistent with a theory. Scientists work in a community. This slide, it is number 12. You can use this, look this up on your own in Brightspace. They tackle applied and basic problems. So applied research is conducted in order to solve practical problems. The word applied means that the findings will be directly applied to finding a solution to a real-world problem. An example is conducting a study to determine the best method for teaching young children how to read. Basic research is where the goal is to enhance the general body of knowledge about a particular topic. Example is conducting a study to investigate what 9-month-old infants can remember about hidden objects. Basic research can often be a foundation for later applied studies. Translational research is simply the bridge between basic research to applied. Scientists make their work public. They submit it to scientific journals. We will be going over those a lot in class. Here's a quick little cartoon of what happens when we do research and then it goes to the university PR office, newswire organizations, and then on and on and on. It's like the game of telephone, and by the time that it gets to you, the news is so convoluted, it is nowhere near what the scientist actually discovered. So this is seen in, we talked about the Mozart Effect, which it was a study talked about in your text that said something along the lines of a person or a small amount of people scored better on a test after listening to classical music, and by the time that got to the news media and then to parents, we had moms who were putting headphones on their very pregnant bellies because they were trying to raise the IQ of their children. So that is the danger of music does not increase your IQ. That is the danger of not researching and looking at research with a very critical eye. Okay, so we will discuss Chapter 2 on Tuesday. I mentioned in class we are going to start class at 9:40 instead of at 9:30.